My problem is I can tell too many amazing stories about a LearningRx graduate. I think that's a hard question to answer because every day we see amazing stories walk out of our office.
We've seen all kinds of clients, from those that are applying to medical school to those that really significantly struggle, like with Down syndrome. And so while those goals are so completely different in those two individuals, the amount of change we made in each of them was so significant.
Seeing that kid change from the beginning, where he just doesn't have any self-esteem or confidence, to the end, that different kid altogether. So, and it's story after story after story.
I have so many stories about LearningRx graduates that are amazing. The one that is probably the most amazing is one I share with a lot of parents when they ask me, can the brain really change? Does it really change? And I share with them about a veteran who was in the Iraq War, and he was shot, and it pierced his strap, and it went into his brain, and it shattered his skull. What was remaining after he got out of the hospital was he had to have a reconstructed skull, and his left temporal lobe was removed because there was nothing left of it.
It was a 20-year-old girl, name was Alex. Went through the results with her and the mom in my office, and she pretty much just cussed me out about the results and left. And the mom said, we'll be back. And I told my director, I go, we'll never see her again. About 2 weeks later, the mom said, we're starting the program. It's like, really? All right, let's go. So every day that she came in, I would say hi to her, and she wouldn't say a word to me. She would just go straight back to her trainer.
One of my favorites is I got a call in October, and this client called us, and she was just at wit's end. She had a first grader, and she said, he explodes in the classroom. He'll hide under his desk. He's just really frustrated, and the school keeps telling me that it's a behavioral disorder. And she said, I just don't buy it. I just don't buy it. And so I asked her to explain the situation to me. And so I said, well, look, I said, we're not psychologists. We're not here to diagnose mood disorders. But we can do an assessment. This is what the assessment will tell you. And from there we can talk about it, and at least you'll have a lot better information to make decisions. Sure enough, this poor little guy just was classic in that his processing speed was really low, and if I remember right, short-term memory as well. But it was just what it was is the classroom was overwhelming for him, even in first grade, just because of the amount of information that he had to process through, and that's why he'd get frustrated in the classroom. But at home, if mom took the time, he could get through things. And so she didn't see the behavioral disorder, so to speak.
The left temporal lobe is where all your language, all your talking, reading, writing, communicating, it all happens in the left temporal lobe. He didn't have it. If you were to talk to him today, you would never know he has no left temporal lobe. How does the brain do that? It does it through training. It made completely new connections around the part of the brain that doesn't exist. He can talk, he can read, he has a blog, he's on email all the time, he is a spokesperson. It's a phenomenal thing to watch, what the brain can do.
By the time graduation came, there was this beautiful 20-year-old confident girl, completely different than day one, that actually her and I could have a conversation where she was confident and loving life, and then gonna go back to the same school she flunked out of. That's kind of the biggest transition I saw.
We got into the program, and about 3 weeks in, she told me, she goes, you know what? She says the behavior in the classroom has stopped. He's calmed down. He's doing a lot better. brings tears to my eyes. I don't know why. Anyway, I was like, wow, that's great. We kept going with the program, and we were doing the program review, the final program review, and I was talking to Mom, and I'm like, so Christine, I said, what do you think? And she's like, this is fantastic. I'm like, well, please do tell. And she says, you know, he was in the principal's office 16 times.
As a first grader.
As a first grader, before we came to you. He hasn't been in there since. That just touched my heart. I can't ever tell it. I have told it every time I try to tell it. I don't know why.
I think we have the best job in the world.